And we are live. Welcome back to
we are live. We are living.
Welcome to the Best Damn Internet Radio Show or Internet Show. Radio Show? That has never happened. Best Damn Internet Show. My name is Ken Hurley with my guest or my co-host, Steven Sperling. I was giving you the chance to do it because you did it last time.
Thank you. I interrupted you last time because I had to say it myself. I won't let anybody say my name except me. I'm Voldemort.
Is that it? He who shall not be named. Yeah. I think since people can't, since our last show, since our test show, I had a few people asking me, when are we going to see Steve? And I said, we're actually working on it, getting you some cameras and things like that, because you are broadcasting live from
Indianapolis, Indiana.
The most exciting thing going on in Indianapolis right now, I guarantee it. But people ask about what you look like, and I felt bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to find every week until we get you a camera. I'm going to find a different picture of you and post it. It may or may not actually be you, but I think I like that idea. By having a picture.
There are very few pictures on the internet that would be worse than me, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Well, no, come on, man. Being a little rough on yourself, Bubba. You're all right.
A little bit. I'm working on losing weight, so hopefully by the time you get your camera or get that camera to me, I'll be thinner at least.
Man, nobody cares, bro. You're fine. We like your intellectual prowess, Steve. That's why.
Well, it's covered up by a lot of fat.
It's in there somewhere, Steve.
Yeah, I know, and it's harder to find these days.
Well, I have the same problem. See, notice they only film me from the hair up, which is getting more of a shot, I guess. My hair keeps getting longer, which is weird.
I can't even see you. I see a big 4 on the screen, so I don't know what the deal is from my end, but I guess we're okay.
Right.
Oh, there you are.
You see me? Hey.
Yeah, I see you. Yeah.
Hey. So what's been happening in the world, Steve, since we talked last? Anything interesting?
Well, some sad things.
Some very sad things. Like what's that?
Did you hear that Luke Perry died?
I did hear that Luke Perry died. That was pretty shocking to me. Yeah, man. That's anybody who grew up in the 90s was well, I don't care who you were. You knew who Luke Perry was because 90210 was like the biggest thing ever. And
Beverly Hills 90210 was a huge evening soap opera for teens.
Yeah, and everybody knew who it was. I don't care who you were. Everybody knew who it was. And he played Dylan, am I correct?
I think so. I didn't watch the show.
I'm just going to go ahead and say yes, he played Dylan. But he was was the James Dean. Dylan. Like I always saw him as like the James Dean of the show. Like he was just too cool like that. He had that smirk, He was just like too cool for school. Literally, I think he was actually too cool for school. Literally.
He might have been. I didn't follow the ups and downs of
didn't they all go to school? Did he go to school? See, I'm not going to...
I think they did.
I'm not the world's most authority on 90210, but I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are. But yeah, it's very sad that Dylan passed away. For those who are in the WWF community, King Kong Bundy also passed away, which he was the nemesis of Hulk Hogan. So that's also I know a lot of folks who were big wrestling fans back in the day as well. And that was a big bummer.
Did Hulk Hogan kill him?
No. Well, it's not proven. But I'm not going to try to make fun of. I don't want to. No more. No more jokes at the expense of King Kong Bundy. May he rest in peace.
Okay, well, we can make fun of Luke Perry then.
No, we cannot make fun of Luke Perry. We absolutely
No.
cannot make fun of Luke Perry. But also the for music fans, the I do believe he was either the lead singer or the co-lead singer of Prodigy. They say he passed away as well. They say he took his own life. And I know
What
that
the
they
heck?
were just going
Everybody's
back.
dying.
Yeah, man, they were just actually going back out on tour. I do believe they were going to be here in like 3 months. So that's sad. So I actually have a. Do you have any others that you know? Because I actually have a few that popped up that I don't really know very well.
Well, if you no, the Luke Perry was the only one I knew about.
Yeah,
Of
the
course, I don't follow wrestling.
right. So I don't. I'm in that nerd realm, and and wrestling is kind of in that whole world. And so I always get like fringes of, which is weird to me because I don't watch wrestling. I don't have anything against male soap operas, but women watch their soap opera. Actually, I know as many women that watch WWF, so it's not a sex thing. It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Here's another one that you may not have known. Catherine Hellman. Do you know her? Do you know that name?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, Mona.
Yes, I did.
Mona from Who's the Boss?
Yeah, yeah. I never watched Who's the Boss, but when I was pretty little, I was watching Soap, which was the parody of soap operas. So I knew her mainly for that. And
Oh, she okay, right. She was on that first, right? She hasn't been on a ton of things actually. Her IMDb is probably pretty big.
Yeah. And probably everyone has seen that image of her from Terry Gilliam's Brazil. There's an image of her. Her character is getting some kind of plastic surgery, and we see somebody stretch her face out. And a lot of people are at least familiar with that image, even if they're not familiar with Brazil. So she's well known for Brazil. And I know her from Soap.
Could have fooled me
A lot
because
of
I
people
have
forgot
no
that.
idea that that was news to me. I didn't know anything about Brazil. Like the country? Did she like?
Yeah, Billy Chris. No, she had,
dated
as
the
far as I
country,
know,
so.
she had nothing to do with the country. In fact, I don't even remember that movie having anything to do with the country. Sort of like Woody Allen's Bananas.
Right, had nothing to
It
do
had
with
nothing to do
bananas,
with bananas.
and that's why I walked out on it, Steve.
Right.
Not having any of this
okay.
nonsense.
Okay.
I gave it 15 minutes, and I was like, I didn't see one banana, and I was like, oh, I'm done with this. This is a farce. Peter
You
Tork.
might not have to walk out of Captain Marvel. We were talking about that the other day.
Oh yeah, let's talk about something. I was going to say the last two that I knew of on that Peter Tork from the Monkees, and I do believe Karl Lagerfeld. They also passed away.
Oh,
So,
Peter Tork, I knew.
Yeah.
I didn't hear about the other one.
Karl Lagerfeld. Yeah, if it wasn't for Lagerfeld, I never would have gotten. I think my first, I wouldn't have been as successful in my first high, or it would have been junior high dance, because I was wearing Lagerfeld, because it was awesome. It was it's like pouring honey on you. It was like the sweetest smelling spray ever. Men's cologne. I think my first men's cologne that wasn't Avon that I got from my mom. So that was pretty funny.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
I
enough
wore
of
Old Spice, so enough of death.
that
Enough
burned.
of death.
I remember that burned when I put it on. It's like straight alcohol. That's horrible. So what were you saying? You were talking about Captain Marvel, the which comes out tomorrow, which I'm very excited about. Actually, the nerd in me
comes out tomorrow.
rejoicing.
It's got a good tomato meter rating. Are you familiar with Rotten Tomatoes?
Yes, that's the rating system. It's an online rating system where they actually have different analytics for how they rate a movie. They have some that have to do with critics, I want to say, and then the others have to do with real user input. So it's from us, from how we rate it. Is that correct?
Yes. So far we've got an 86% for critics, but of course the plebeians have not seen it yet, so there's no audience score. Now, I've noticed it on a lot
Actually,
of
that's
these.
not true. They disabled the pre-audience score, and that's a really interesting topic. Have you heard about this?
Oh,
Okay,
I
so
am not surprised at all. I am not surprised, but I hadn't heard that.
apparently she went on a she was quoted, and I don't know the exact quote, but she basically made a comment that she was surprised that not as they go on press junkets for the movies, and so they'll go out and do all these interviews with all these different reporters from newspaper or whatever, and so I guess she made a comment of she was surprised of I'm paraphrasing, so please don't get mad at me if people know exactly what she was saying. But it was that she was surprised that there weren't as many women in the press junkets, or they weren't as aware of them as the men were. And she said that it would have been nice to give equal opportunity to the women to come out to interview her as well, or something along those lines. And I think it was a pretty harmless statement. Sure, I mean that's whatever. I don't think that's too controversial, but there were a lot of men that were going on the Rotten Tomatoes and giving it a negative score because of that comment, saying that was basically like a negative male comment. You know what I mean? That she was putting down men.
Sexist, misandrist.
Mm-hmm. Which I read that I actually was watching an interview where somebody was talking about that in briefly, and they said the quote, and I remember hearing the quote going, well, that's pretty harmless. I think that's very forward thinking of her. I think I don't think there's anything wrong with that, or I wouldn't have had an issue with it. But apparently 18-year-old boys do not agree. They're going to tell Rotten Tomatoes all about it. So
yeah, I definitely heard that Brie Larson ticked a lot of people off. So that was not a good thing.
Yeah, she may have said more. I don't know.
I
mean, I don't. That's all I know about that subject. To be honest with you.
I think she also said something about wanting to commit mass murder, so that might have been the real problem.
Well, that Brie, she always, she's such a character, right?
She smells like cheese.
She's married.
She's just ridiculous.
You're digging ditches today, Steve. So Steve's feeling ornery. What about is she? She's married furious. She's married to Ryan Reynolds. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, I think I did know that. He was he's doing these. He's Deadpool, right?
Yeah, and Pikachu, actually.
Oh, he's Pikachu.
Yeah, he actually
it's Green Lantern, which failed.
Which rightfully so. You've seen. I'm a fan of them. I'm a fan of the superhero genre, and that was pretty bad. They gave him a CGI outfit and a whole 9 yards. I promise, folks, we're not going to talk about. We're going to nerd out all day. This is just about this movie.
No. Yeah,
if you like
nerd out as much as I used to.
If you like the nerd movies, go ahead and give us a like on the old Facebook. Let's try that. See if that works. So yeah, I'm excited about that. That's coming out tomorrow. So we'll see how that. I have high hopes for it. It looks pretty cool. Set in the 90s. Should be cool. She's wearing like a 9 Inch Nails t-shirt.
Set in the 90s.
Yeah, set in the 90s. She crashes through.
Too far away.
She I feel like it sometimes. She crashes through the ceiling of a Blockbuster. So that's pretty cool.
Oh gosh. Okay, that's going back quite a bit.
That's like the joke of the guy said, I got carded for alcohol, and as I was pulling out my wallet, my Blockbuster card came out, and the guy says, "Nah, man, you're good."
That's a pretty funny joke. So maybe it'll be a good movie.
Maybe, based on that joke. No, that joke's not even in the movie.
Based on that joke. Oh, I thought it was in the movie.
No, that's that was a face.
Your stupid joke.
Yes. Yes, and stupid jokes. Man, I'm lately, man. I'm going on a tirade, man. Of I'll either post like the cutest thing you've ever seen, or I will post the stupidest thing you've ever heard. That's me on Facebook.
Like totally posting either the cutest thing or the Now you don't seem like a type of guy who posts a lot of cute. You post cute animals? Is that what you post?
Yes, I do. I'll do. I do like kittens, puppies, like little kids singing, little kids falling over. Just,
Oh my gosh,
yeah, I know, right?
you're a softie. Who knew?
Well, when the FBI checks my internet, they're going to be stunned. They're going to be like, "But we're sure that there's something there." Nope, not me.
There's too much saccharin. We can't deal with it.
Right, right. Where's the meat? No meat. By the way, we're coming. I didn't know, Steve, if you knew this, but I am broadcasting live here at the Crooked Hook Bar and Grill in Coral Springs, Florida. I don't know if you knew that. The Crooked Hook.
I did not know that.
See, I'm trying to get as close as I can to being actually being in a SpongeBob SquarePants cartoon. And just so my producer knows, when I have my headphones on, I can't hear anything unless it's coming through the microphone. So all I see is your mouth moving. I can't actually hear anything. So he's over there trying to tell me something. He's like, blah, blah, blah. And then they laugh. And I'm like, right over my head, bro.
They're making fun of you, Ken. Are you gonna put up with this?
Oh, he's talking about who we are. I mean, if anybody's watching at home right now, you have to be watching under live stream entertainment because that's who we are. My man Doug, he put all this together. I have to go on record by saying I couldn't be happier than to have the opportunity to do this. It's really, really fun to talk to my friend Steve and to be able to talk to different guests every week. I hope I do you justice, and I hope I'm interesting enough that you'd want to spend some time with me and hanging out and talking. Steve as well. I mean, I try to make Steve's. I can only carry Steve so much, so. No, Steve is Steve's.
Is that a fat joke?
Is that a fat? No, no, it's not actually.
Oh,
but
okay.
That's how I walk into jokes like that, though, Steve. That's how insensitive I am, and I walk right into jokes like that all day long. They're like, "What's that supposed to mean?" I get that a lot. If I had $1 every time somebody said, "Hey, what's that supposed to mean?"
Well, you're not the one who opened the show with making fun of somebody's death, so a real life death. So,
you didn't make fun of their death. You just make fun of them, and they happen to be dead. So that's.
Oh yeah, okay. We'll say it that way. That's good.
Right.
That's a good thing to do.
See what I meant by carrying it.
Yeah.
And there I am.
Yeah.
What else is happening in the world, Steve?
Well, we've got a new sexuality out there. Brand spanking new sexuality. Are you excited?
I don't know if that's the word. Interested, maybe.
Yes,
it's kind of like I like to see where this is going. Go ahead.
Okay, so if I told you that crack scientists have now identified the autosexual, what would you think that is?
Well, these automated cars used to talk. Is that coming back? I mean, because they're pretty smart now.
Now that actually, see, that's what I would have thought, and that actually is
we're both.
That is a thing. That is a thing. There's a pretty common meme out there of a clip from a show called My Strange Addiction, which shows a man making love to his car.
Okay, there you go. Is that a thing? Is that what that is?
Yes. So, well, that's the thing, but that's not what autosexual is.
What?
No.
So
think autobiography. Auto is used in that sense.
Okay, I have no idea, Steve. Fill me in, bro.
Well, autosexuality is being attracted to yourself.
Oh. So they've been to Miami. They've been to South Beach. And they're like, hey, there's a new thing. I think it's been going on for years.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's very convenient because you don't have to, you've always got yourself with you, and you make your own best partner. So I guess that would be a good sexuality to have.
I guess that's really a
It's
thing. So how do they define that? I mean, that's like how does this come up?
well, there's an article in the Guardian, and I made a joke about crack scientists, but it's actually a strange article. It doesn't really explain itself too well. It looks to be like a dialogue between an autosexual and somebody who doesn't understand. So I don't know how they identified this. I don't know if there's only one autosexual in the world.
So that here's
Uh,
what happened. So the guy who is the autosexual wrote it about himself. That's how that came about. He
I
was like, you
guess
know what? I think I'm autosexual
who let's see who wrote this. It's not identified. They don't even give you who wrote it. Well,
because it's all bullshit, Steve.
I'm not reading the Guardian. Well, there's so much fake news in the news. So
Oh, it gets me every now and
who
then
knows?
too.
You
There
can't
was
trust it.
what's the one that got me the other day is Henry Winkler had died, and he was a longtime gun
Again?
advocate. Again, exactly. Somebody posted it, and they were like, posted this. They were really sad, and I mean, yeah, it's probably going to be a really sad day when Henry Winkler dies. But it was. I read the article and I was like, "That's the most absurd thing that I've ever heard in my life," and it was pretty funny. I mean, if you read it tongue in cheek, it's really funny. But yeah, some people were like, "That's really sad." I didn't know he was, like hardcore into guns. I don't. He may be, but I'm not betting on it.
Oh, is that part of the story that?
Yeah, that was part of the
he
story. That was
accidentally
it.
shot himself.
No. It was just that he had passed on, and that he also was a hardcore gun enthusiast. And of course, it was a hoax. It's whoever wrote it was
Yes.
part of I want to say, a gun website or something. So I thought that was funny. And the thing is that when I read it, I was like, what? Like, that's odd. Doesn't seem right. And it wasn't. So
He keeps dying. He keeps dying. It's really sad. I mean, it's one thing when they die once,
yeah, but the fourth time,
but when the fourth time is just too many.
it's just redundant. That's what I
Um,
say.
yeah, I wonder was somebody mad at Henry Winkler when they wrote it? I wonder.
No, they
Maybe they
didn't.
were
It didn't.
getting revenge on.
I think it was just we're gonna write something so absurd, and who would be the person that would probably be the most absurd about, and it was Henry Winkler. I mean, if you want to think of something to be like, who could we say that was the biggest gun advocate that we could possibly think of? And Henry Winkler is probably the most ridiculous. That comes to my mind. I mean, if you've seen the Fonz, maybe, but the Water Boy, the Coach Klein, no, not Coach Klein.
Well, I can't even imagine the Fonz. I can't even imagine the Fonz carrying guns.
He wouldn't need to carry a gun. He would just snap his fingers. Right?
That's right. He would actually. This is amazing. He would actually snap his fingers, and the fire in the fireplace would suddenly flame up.
He was magic.
And chairs would move.
He was a wizard.
Yeah, it was. It was really amazing. I always wanted to grow up to be the Fonz, just so I could snap my fingers. I didn't care about the leather jacket or anything.
I always wondered why they never got the jukebox fixed.
Oh, yeah.
You ever think about that?
Yeah.
I mean, how many seasons was Happy Days on? And like, it always took Fonzie to go over and like hit it in the right spot to make it work.
Cheap sets. You save money that way.
It really? I mean, well, you save money, but the bar owner, did he ever pay off the? I mean, he's trying to make money off the thing, right? That's the whole point. And like the Fonz just comes in, has been robbing him blind for like 30 years.
That's right. That's right. I never thought about it that way. I never thought of Fonz as a thief. You're ruining my happy memory.
Ruining your childhood.
You're destroying my childhood. Actually, Henry Winkler himself destroyed my childhood. He made a really terrible movie around 1990 called Cop and a Half, with Burt Reynolds and an obnoxious little boy who
Oh, I
was
heard
his. It
about
was
that.
a buddy cop movie.
I'd never watched the movie, but I heard about.
Yeah, it was.
I'm familiar with the name.
Yeah, it was a terrible failure. It was an awful movie, and Roger Ebert gave it thumbs up, and I think that's what killed Roger Ebert.
Somebody had him. Somebody put a head out on Roger Ebert for liking that movie.
Either that or was he just died of shame. That was the worst movie, as far as I know. That was the worst movie he ever gave a thumbs up to. Um, but it was just an awful movie. Burt Reynolds yelling at a kid, and they were buddy cops. Uh, the script somehow maneuvered things so that they were actually the little 8-year-old, 7-year-old boy was a was a cop along with Burt Reynolds, and
An
it
8-year-old
was
boy
an
was a
extremely
cop along
bad
with Burt
movie.
Reynolds. How could that? How could that possibly fail? It's got success
Uh,
written all over it. You know, I always wanted to do a write. I think somebody already does it now, but I had the idea a few years ago of of having a whole every week you'd have a skit about pitching a movie at like a horrible movie, movies that didn't do well. And so you would have, but they got made. So somebody actually funded the money to go get this movie made. So as some folks may not know, sometimes it goes wrong in the middle of making the movie and it just doesn't turn out the way you want it to. Sometimes the idea was bad from the get-go. So I think it would be funny to have these, the movie pitch is basically what it would be called, the pitch or something along those lines. And you would just pitch like the worst ideas for the movie and try to make it as interesting as possible. To whoever is trying to fund the money. And so I just had the idea of pitching this movie, and it's so ridiculous. And at the end of it, the guy was like, fantastic. Here's $1 million or whatever. So, because it's got to be something like that, or kind of. In my head, it is.
yeah,
Anyway.
that movie where that buddy cop movie where Whoopi Goldberg was buddy cops with a dinosaur.
Seriously? That happened?
Oh yeah. That was a serious movie.
You could
Yeah,
see that's perfect for the pitch. That's perfect for.
Yeah,
for that.
I think so. That's immediately what came to mind when you said, "How did this get made?" I mean, there are actually thousands and thousands of movies that are just unbelievably bad, but that was the first one that came.
Here's
to mind.
what I want. I
It's
want
called
everybody.
Theodore Rex.
Theodore Rex. I want everybody at home to write the. If you're watching on Facebook, to write their worst, the worst made movie that they think they've ever seen. Like big budget, not like my buddy Tim made one, in Lansing. I want to hear. Because we have a few of those from Indy from a friend of ours that made a mock. It was kind of like wasn't it Indiana Jones ish movie that that two of our friends made. Do you even know about that?
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
No,
or kind of made, but I want to hear everybody at home. I want to hear the worst movie. Tell me the worst movie that actually got made, in your opinion. So that'd be fun to read.
there were these kids who, in the '90s, I think, maybe it was earlier than that, did a shot-for-shot remake of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and they actually did a pretty good job. Of course, it was it was very humorously low budget, but they did it shot for shot, and it was a really long, time consuming. It was a time
Oh, it had to have
consuming
been.
and
It had to have been.
resource consuming. Yeah. Even though they were doing it with a tiny budget and making all sorts of. I mean, they weren't trying to be humorous, but of course, trying to duplicate that on their budget with kids
With no budget, right?
A lot of it, yeah,
That's
it
pretty
comes
cool,
off
though, man.
humorously, but that's it's a pretty amazing project. I mean, people really love certain movies, and they'll just go nuts over them. Star Wars, I think there are many fan edits of that.
Yeah, there's one that just came out
and
about Darth Vader that some dude made, and he actually got it copyrighted and taken by Disney, and now Disney re-released it on YouTube and making money off of it. So this guy spent all his hard-earned money to make this thing, and it's actually really good. And he wasn't even, he wasn't even mad that he lost the money. It was just how everything went down. Yeah, people say Disney's pretty evil.
They own the movie.
Yeah, they do. And I think he tried to get some sort of I'm not going to make monetarily, I'm not going to make any money back on this or whatever, but I just want to do it because I'm a fan or whatever. And somehow that got, I don't know, you have to look that up. But that actually was a pretty good movie that he made. It was really neat.
Yeah, I will look that up, but I feel bad that Disney took it away from it.
Yeah, they pretty much put hammered on that whole thing. What else is going on in the world today, Steve? Anything else?
What else is you mean exciting? More exciting than the autosexual?
Yeah, because that I don't even know, man. I don't know about it.
It didn't excite you. You didn't suddenly want to look in the mirror and find out if you were an autosexual.
Who's the character off of? Was he off of Saturday Night Live, where he would look and he would do the affirmations? I love me. I am good enough. I'm strong enough. Would he be an autosexual?
That was Stuart Smalley.
Stuart Smalley.
No, because I think he was a bit try hard with his self-love.
So you don't think he was like genuine?
No. He tried. He wanted to be an autosexual, but he just couldn't pull it
Wait,
off.
isn't that Al Franken?
That is Al Franken, who
former senator Al Franken.
Former senator who was kicked out because it was discovered that he was a perv.
He was a perv.
He was a perv. He would sexually assault women.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah, there's a photograph of him touching the breasts of a woman who was sleeping.
I saw that picture.
They were doing a show together. I
saw that picture, and although I wouldn't condone any such behavior. I mean, it's, people do stupid things. I didn't get a really pervy vibe off of it. I got I'm an idiot vibe off of it. I mean, but that's just, but I'm an idiot, so maybe that's why I got that way.
Yeah.
But that's just my take on it. I don't know anything about the subject, but I did see the picture I did see that picture though. I know what you're talking about there. I don't know of any other thing that he did. Now, obviously, if he's not a senator anymore, he's out. So that's, I guess, well deserved that he's not a senator anymore if he's behavior like that. But I didn't get that from that picture. I mean, if he must have done more or something. I don't know.
Well, with that particular woman, he was harassing her.
So it was a ongoing thing.
Show.
See, that's right. That's cool. Well, it's not cool. It's not my.
Yeah,
that's not my point.
No, it's not cool at all. What are you saying?
I'm digging ditches. I'm digging ditches.
Fonz would never say anything like that.
Mm-hmm. No, he would apparently just pull out a gun.
No, he wouldn't. I'm telling you, that's a hoax. He was not a gun enthusiast. Not the Fonz and not Henry Winkler. Neither one of them. They don't love guns.
Okay. What about Coach Klein? Coach Klein said.
Oh, I don't know if he liked guns.
That's one of my favorite movies, by the way. Waterboy. Love that movie. Oh. It's ridiculous. I love it. So, other than autosexuality and the poor folks that passed away.
We've got a possible fountain of youth.
A possible fountain of youth.
Scientists have.
I'm in.
Fountain of youth. Or are you excited? You want to be 18 again?
20-ish. I'll take 20-ish. I don't know about 18.
20-ish. 18's a little too young.
Right.
Well, they've done it with roundworms. So we're going to have some long-living roundworms right now. But
I hate to interrupt you, and we're going to get back to that in just a minute.
Yes.
But we need to bring on our first guest. She's actually on a schedule, and we're going to make sure that she gets accommodated. We just ramble on and on and on and on and on. So
tell her about the roundworms.
You're going to tell her about the roundworms. Everybody, welcome Marian a DeBonis, please. Oh, I have these really cheesy. Oh no, that's not right. Oh, no. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, our very first guest on our very first show, Marian. Marian, hi.
Hi, Ken.
Hi.
Hi. I'm waving back.
Hi, Marian.
Hi, Steve. I'm waving to you too.
That's awesome. We're all here.
Thanks.
One
I
big
can't
happy
see
family.
you, but I trust you.
I know. Our producer has to do something about that.
We're going to work on that. Actually, while you talk, I'm going to find a picture of Steve so I can show everybody at home what Steve looks like. It's going to change every week, so it may or may not actually be Steve.
Oh, dear.
But that's a fun game I'm going to play until we actually get a picture of Steve. So, Marian, we talked to you last time when you were here about a week ago, actually a week ago exactly, about something I thought was very, very exciting. And before we actually get into this, I want to do our disclaimer. What this is a conversation about somebody who is passionate about what they do. They are not an investment broker. She is not she doesn't trade stocks. She can't trade stocks for you, that kind of thing. She's not like your stockbroker. She's not a portfolio manager. She's not any of that. What she is a local person who found something interesting, and she'd like to share that. She found it so interesting that not only is she into it and passionate about it, but she would like to share that with other folks as well. Am I correct about that?
Yeah, you are. But I'll kind of backtrack a little.
Please do.
To give the great segue. So over the summer, my husband said to me, hey, there's this company that called Tilray that just traded on the stock exchange, and oh, guess what? They sell cannabis. I'm like, you're on crack. There's no way that's possible. Sure enough, it was possible. So I decided, wow, I got to check this out. So I did a little research. Sure enough, it was it, and said, wow. Did some more research, said, wowza. And kind of, got a girlfriend of mine, said, hey, what do you think about checking some of these stocks out? Let's diversify the portfolio, see what we can do. And she's like, okay. So I'm feeding her information, and, we're chit-chatting one-sided because she's just listening, saying, okay, Marian, whatever you say. And I'm like, no, need more feedback. So that kind of culminated in where we are today, which is earlier in mid-February. I literally woke up one day and said, that's it. I'm going on this app called Meetup, and I'm going to create this club. And I'm going to find out who else wants to talk about cannabis stocks. And that is publicly traded, folks. Cannabis stocks, whether they're on the U.S. market or the Canadian market. They're not the black door, folks. These are real companies filing with the SEC and the TSX out in Canada, the Toronto Exchange, and the CSE, the Canadian Stock Exchange, like real companies. And the next thing I know, it kind of came to life, the Cannabis Investment Club. That is my baby. It's my hobby. I am not a hedge fund. You'll have to see my brother. He's the hedge fund manager. I'm just the person who thinks it's really cool.
Well, that's cool.
A lot of opportunity, and here we are.
So, so I'm going to ask some questions that some folks at home are probably going to be asking. I thought marijuana was illegal in a lot of states. How do they get around that? Or we'll start with that. Marijuana was legal. Do you know when it became illegal?
I think in the 20s, when the paper company was threatened by the hemp industry and the cannabis industry still. And
I heard a few other things too. I heard that it was a trade with, I want to say China or whatever, over like opium, because they had an opium crisis and all kinds of stuff. And they were, I think marijuana was going back and forth between that too. That was part of the problem. I read a little bit about that as well. And same thing with the hemp, as far as companies making hemp and being too profitable.
Hemp's the distant cousin of cannabis, just for the record.
There are two different types of the plant. There is one that you could use for medicinal reasons, and then there's the other one that makes paper and clothes and all that kind of stuff like that. So there are two different animals, and I know, and both of them are trading on stocks. Correct? You can get. Yes. Right.
Well, I'm not here to talk about that part of it, but I can tell you this, that they are on the Canadian exchange. The rec market is completely legal because Canada, in October of last year, they said, okay, we're going legal with rec. In the States, only certain states, because the Fed, it's still illegal, right? So banks can't be involved, right? None of that can happen. So it's whatever the state dictates, whether they do or don't, will determine whether it's just medicinal, whether it's rec, or whether it's none of the above.
Define rec for the folks at home.
Well, you and I, do we have medical cards? I don't.
You're talking about recreational.
Yes.
All right. I just wanted you to clarify rec.
Oh, rec means recreational. Sorry, folks.
That's all.
I'm a big on acronyms and
it's all right. We'll try to
short
get
versions of words.
I may understand you. I'm just making sure everybody else does too. But yes, recreational. Places like Denver, places like DC, I do believe is recreational as well.
Well, as I recall, our wonderful people out there in DC, I believe they're the first ones that decided they were going recreational.
How funny is that?
See, now that's a great story because, see, before I decided about a dispensary I was going to invest in, I actually took my friend and we took a little drive up to this dispensary in Port St. Lucie. And for full disclosure, I love this company. Doesn't mean everybody loves it. I just happened to because I went up there and I talked to the people. And I talked to the manager and some of the people up there. And it's called Liberty Health Sciences. And they're the ones who actually told me that this is an awesome story. When you go to DC and you want to go to a dispensary, how they get around it is you'll say like, oh, can I buy like that water for like $50? So they'll give you the water for $50 and then give you like this, little prize that goes with it, which is apparently
and
your
you also
legally purchased cannabis. I mean, it's like, really?
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
When they were telling me that, I believe that's how the story goes. I'm getting older in age, but that's I believe was a story because I was like in awe when they told me. I'm like, what? That's nuts. But apparently that's DC for you.
Yeah, in other states, somebody was in. If you don't have a medical card, there are other states that it's medically, but not recreational. So you can go get it for medicinal.
The state we live in,
which is Florida. For those and for some of those that are dually purposed, like somebody was telling me Denver, it's like you could walk in and you could get a certain percentage of THC quality, where that's the stuff that actually gets you high. And if you have a medical card, then you can get something more potent. That's what I was told that.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. That doesn't make any sense. So again, you've got the THC component. That is your psychotropic, that makes you a little crazy if your levels are ridiculously high that you're ingesting.
Right.
And then there's the CBD, that's your pain relief. That's what you're given those that have epilepsy and Crohn's and all those awful diseases.
Works for stress, works for anxiety.
Yeah,
works
there's
for
a
all
lot
kinds
of different uses. I know I use some CBD CBD topical on my elbow and my knee after my workout. Sometimes when it bothers me, feels great.
Amazing. Yeah, you need to get the more potent CBD oil. Because I did know somebody that was trying stuff and they weren't getting great results, and they were using a lower percentage. So the higher stuff is the stuff that I would recommend.
Well, yeah, it's not going to work if you're using like 2% CBD.
Not even that.
You
it
was
like
98,
yeah, it was
99%.
like 60 something, and it just wasn't doing the trick, or 50 something.
Well, because it's not enough CBD.
I agree. But yeah, they're getting and I do know the best story the story that touched my heart about it is a young lady who was having, she had such bad seizures, and they started giving her CBD oil, and now she is almost seizure free. And when we were talking about seizures, she was having them like every 4 minutes. Like,
is
it
that
was just absolutely
Charlotte's Web story, which is a fantastic story? Yep, that's the Charlotte's Web. That is a amazing story. I actually read the entire article when. And it's just crazy. This little girl was 5 years old having seizures like every 30 seconds. It was awful. and the parents did everything they could. There was nothing. Then the brothers, I forgot the names of the brothers. These brothers went and they actually produced the strain for her, and she went from these ridiculous number of seizures daily to like basically virtually nothing. And of course, those are the stories you want to hear. The stories that, you know, the true essence of the medicinal aspect of the cannabis industry.
Well, I think this is why it actually does gain ground. And this is why it's not just thrown out of something hokey, because there are stories out there like that, even though pick a reason why a lot of folks don't want it around. But let's get back to... you said how long ago when your husband talked to you about that?
It was this summer.
This past summer.
Yeah.
And how long did it take you to get enough information to where you were all in?
Oh, man, I was, let's say every weekend I was doing research. At night I was doing research. I think I bought
What was it? What was the one that got you? What was the moment where you were like, man, I gotta?
Oh, the gotta moment? Oh, man, what's the first one I bought? Well, first one I bought. Okay. I think Namaste is the first one I bought, and ready for this, folks, today, I literally just read that Namaste. Where is it? Hang on. I wrote my notes because I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Oh, I put it on my meetup, no wonder. I think Namaste just fired PwC, the auditors. No, I lied. PwC resigned from being Namaste's auditors. Now, for those of you who don't know about Namaste, there was this, they're a technology platform in the cannabis industry, do a bunch of other things. Go look them up. The stock symbol, if you even want to, is NXTT. Wait, I don't have my glasses. Hang on. Please hold.
Put the microphone just a little closer to your mouth.
NXTTF. Yeah, I think that's it. Can't read my own writing sometimes. But the big story here is that PwC resigned from being their auditors. So it's
Tell
pretty
them who
bad.
PwC is.
Oh, PricewaterhouseCoopers.
Right. Which is
so
huge.
Yeah, big auditors, but it's pretty sad. So that's actually, I think, the first stock I bought. I still have it. I don't have a lot of it, but I still have it. Now, the one that rocks my boat ridiculously is Village Farms, VFF.
Okay.
Love them. These guys this is a company that is out of Canada. They leverage the farm bill big time.
Mm-hmm.
They are a bunch of growers. This is what they do day in, day out. They're actually agricultural.
Mm-hmm.
And what they did is they said, hey, listen, this is all we do. We grow product. We grow vegetables. Why don't we can grow cannabis also, or hemp, whatever they were growing out in Canada.
Right.
And then they took that model, one of their areas, I think, out in one of their locations, and they converted into the cannabis arena to do their growing. And then they came down to Texas, and when the Farm Bill passed and the hemp was officially green light, they went down to Texas, and voila, they went from the Canadian, I don't know if they were on the TSX or the CSE, that is the Toronto Exchange, or the Canadian Exchange. I'm sorry, I'd have to check it. But I can tell you this, they are on the New York Stock Exchange. They went on the exchange I think in January, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's my favorite. I'm happy.
What are they trading at?
Ooh, now they're around 11 and change. I got them around 5 and change.
And how short of a time span?
Maybe 6 weeks.
6 weeks. There you go. So that's what trips your trigger. That's what.
Yeah, but it doesn't. But remember, folks. I mean, the stock market. Anyone who's out there and understands the stock market, the stock market doesn't go up, 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 up. When you go up, you go down. You just take the good and the bad. Things happen. You just have to do your research and do your due diligence. I just really am I love this company because I think they have really strong fundamentals. They have. They stay in what they're focused on what they do, and they do it really well.
Good.
And
that's
when
what you want any company to do.
Focus on the
actually.
Fundamentals, you'll never go wrong.
Steve, were any of those companies
Marian, did you have any interest?
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna.
Marian, did you have any? Did you have any interest in the stock market before you heard about the cannabis companies, or was that the thing that really got you passionate about it?
No, my grandfather, may he rest in peace, piece play the market. My dad plays the market. My brother's in the market. It's just like in the fam.
Oh, it is. Okay.
It's in our blood.
Steve, are any of those companies? We were talking earlier about like some of the top companies. What are you? Did you have any luck with that? Of some of the stuff you looked up?
Well, Marian, how about if I name off some companies and are you able to give me your opinion on them? I don't want to put you on the spot, but I mean that's not a legal problem. You just tell me what you think of the.
Oh yeah, this is just opinion based, folks. I'm not like a financial
exactly.
advisor, not licensed, not nothing. I'm just a person who really likes
Once again, it's something who's just very passionate about what they do, and they found something that they absolutely love, and they got a niche for it, and so she's going for it, and she's trying to turn other people onto it too. She is in no way like I said, an investment broker or any of that, or a hedge fund manager.
No, but what's interesting is there are a lot of people out there like me. So I did this club so that everyone else who's like wants to talk to other people, let's all chat about it. So
that's perfect.
Shoot,
that's great.
Steve.
Yeah, bringing it to the community. That's great.
Novus Acquisition and Development. What do you think of that one?
Novus Acquisition.
What do they do, Steve? What do you know about them?
I don't know if I follow them. They don't ring a bell.
Oh, okay. This is one of the marijuana companies located in the city of Miami, Florida. It is a consulting firm that provides people with cost-saving medical plans as an alternative to cannabis medicine.
Oh no, I wouldn't. That wouldn't interest me. Sorry, Steve.
Oh, okay.
Shot down, Steve.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, I wonder if my list is going to be all. This is this list here is from Cannabis Reports.
Mm-hmm.
Top marijuana companies publicly traded. I hope these aren't all going to be duds.
We'll see.
I mean, you're not saying that company's a dud. You're just
no, I'm just saying
yeah.
I just don't know them, and yeah, from the profile you're saying, it doesn't really interest me.
So that's cool that it's here in Miami, and so that's a referral company or a what'd you say?
It is.
I just look off into space.
Yeah.
I was looking off into space, and she was trying to look to see who I was looking at, and I'm like, "There's no, I just do that. There's nobody here, so I pick somebody."
Looking at your water, thinking my water's way over there, and I wish it was over here. Producer, where are you, producer? Where's the producer?
So you were saying that's a company out of Miami, and
yeah, it's a company out of Miami. It's a consulting firm, but I hope you have an interest in one of these. We've got. The list also includes Abatis Bioceuticals Corporation. Abatis?
Nah, never heard of them.
Okay, United Cannabis Corp.
I've heard of them.
Where are you finding these? Are they publicly traded or are they OTC? I mean, are they OTC or are they on the big markets, I should say?
I don't know this because I'm so ignorant on this subject, and I'm just like, and I tried to listen to that one show that you
the Midas Letter. Love him, James West.
Yeah, the Midas Letter.
Love
him.
It
was it's a pretty entertaining show, but a lot of it's over my head because I've never had any involvement whatsoever in the stock market, and I don't know anything about cannabis companies.
So this article that you're referring to, this is just an article that you found that it says what was the title of the article of the
top marijuana companies publicly traded.
So there you go. I actually
who wrote it?
Guys, it's written by Kyle.
Oh,
Who's
by
Kyle?
Who's
Kyle's
a dumbass.
Who's Kyle?
You should have told me that beforehand.
He's the author of Top Marijuana Companies Publicly Traded.
That's what you should have asked me beforehand.
Sorry,
Kyle's an idiot.
No,
yeah.
Kyle.
I don't even. Yeah. Kyle's
If it
not
was
allowed
Alan
to.
Brockstein, I would say that's.
Yeah, if it was Doug or Todd, either one of those two, they know what they're talking about when it comes to cannabis. I'm just trying. I'm not helping, am I, Steve?
Okay, Steve, keep going. Maybe we'll hit one.
Maybe Kyle would get it.
Cannabis Sativa Incorporated.
Nope.
No, but I know that guy.
Sativa's a strain.
There's
sativa and indica. I know that.
She knows that.
Yeah. There must be a billion companies out there.
There are a billion companies out there.
Green Growth.
Yes.
You know
In
that?
fact, Green Growth wanted to do a hostile takeover of Afria.
Oh, Afria. Who are they?
Afria is one of the large LPs out of Canada. The licensed producers.
And they're trying to do a hostile takeover.
They tried. That was a while ago. That's old news.
How does a pot company do a hostile takeover? They're like,
because there are a lot of shares outstanding.
They're like, yo, man, look, man.
No, because there are a lot of shares outstanding.
Dude.
No, because there are a lot of shares outstanding.
I'm kidding.
Oh, well.
It was a comedy part.
Sorry, I was just moving the convo along.
I know. That was my joke about being pot companies and being hostile. It goes against the grain. So like, we're coming over there, man.
Yeah, it does.
No, you're not.
Okay, what else you got?
Last one is Terra Tech Corp.
Terra Tech. Is that Terra Bio Pharma? No, that's Tetra.
It doesn't say that.
No, that's Tetra. Sorry, I listened to.
Tell us about Tetra.
Oh, Tetra is. I was listening to James West 2 days ago because I'm usually behind because I have to go to my real job in the morning and pay attention. So this is my hobby on the weekends and at night. And I listened to an episode where it was Tetra Biopharma. They're basically, think about this way. You know, GW Pharmaceuticals? Well, this is like the baby of that, the wannabe for the GW. GW is a big pharma grade company that trades on the exchange, which is like over like $140 ridiculous or something a share, way out of my league. But this is a company that aspires to be like them. There's more details, but we can talk about that later. Because I'd have to refer to my notes, and they're not in front of me.
I'm just amazed how big of a subject this is. I mean, the podcast, the Midas letter has, I think they're up to about 160, 170 episodes right now. So they've got enough material on just the subject to keep talking about it, and there are tons of articles about it. It's a big thing, and it's a big deal for me because I'm into people being free, and I like the fact that that we're not the government's not treating us like children and telling us what we can and can't put in our bodies.
Well,
that really drives me
hang
insane.
on there, Steve. So let me tell you a little live story. Now, apparently, the Veterans Administration isn't because they're federally regulated, right, that agency, and because the feds still consider cannabis right now, they haven't degraded it and, taken it off Schedule 1. I think that's what it is, right, Schedule 1. Mm-hmm. So it's my understanding through research that when veterans that are tied to their VA insurances with their medical marijuana medicinal card, when they go to use their card to help them with their PSTD or whatever their case may be.
PTSD.
Oh, thank you.
It's
I do
okay.
that all the time. God, Darren, thank you.
You're welcome.
So when they go to, get their script and feel better because they're relieved of the pain that they're in,
right,
before they have to go to their visit, they have to cleanse themselves because if they drop and it's not nice, they get in trouble.
Basically, she's saying,
and then they can lose their insurance,
yes.
which. If that's not most the asinine thing I have ever heard in my entire life, well, I've heard other asinine things, but that's ranking up there. Yeah,
that's pretty
that
high.
is the saddest part of this entire story.
Yeah, it's the federal part of this whole thing is pretty crazy.
Nauseating.
Yeah. So there's right now they've introduced a bill. Actually, I thought it was a joke when I heard it, but it was like Bill 420. Is that they actually, they did, and I thought it was a joke when I read it, but they actually, whether it gets any traction, I have no idea. I'm not following the story at all, but the article was basically that they introduced a bill in Congress to make it legal on federal level.
Thank God.
So we'll see that goes. Actually, on that same note, that there's a bill introduced in Florida to make it recreational.
Yes, yes. And I personally believe that if Trump will get reelected, if he passes federal legislation and deregulates.
I think
he's in.
Anybody who does
he's
that
in.
is
Yeah.
probably
Yeah, but
gonna
he's
get
the
reelected.
but he's the presiding president right now. And if the presiding president, Mr. Trump, please do it, because I'm telling you, I think you're in like Flynn no matter what you do.
And there we go.
Scott Adams was talking about that. He's the Dilbert cartoonist who is also a political commentator.
I didn't know that.
And he was saying it's such an easy win for Trump. Why wouldn't Trump just do it? And I hope Trump does.
I think it's his Trump card. No
yeah,
pun intended.
Yeah.
Trump
exactly.
card. There you go. That's awesome. But yeah, I think it's at this point. I think it's just a gimme. You know what I mean? Like what's the last time they polled the United States? It was like in the 70% percentile, like 74% of the of people in the United States said, "Go ahead, just do it."
I'll tell you the crazy part of the story. Apparently, Latin America is the largest market.
Really?
Not the U.S. People think the U.S., but it's my understanding that Latin America is the largest market. Mm-hmm. And there's a company called Chiron Life Sciences. I haven't bought it. I'm so dumb. Wish I did. But there's still time. But they've got one of the largest footprints right now. They are, that stock has moved big time.
So you wonder how, how much time do you have to actually get into real? I mean, because there's only a certain amount of time for anything ground floor to where it just totally just gets out of hand.
Yeah, it depends on what you're looking at. There's so many aspects of it.
One of the things I was reading on the New York Stock Exchange is that they said that the cannabis industry is trading 700 times higher than any other industry.
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. See, that part I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me because there was a lot. So, again, my understanding is a lot of the bigger companies, right, like Cronus, right? Remember, Cronus went into bed with, Constellation went into bed with Canopy Growth, right? So that propelled that Canopy big time. Sure. That helped. You've got a beverage company, a big Mac Daddy. Mm-hmm. Hexo did a JV with.
So say that again, though. That's basically a beverage company that does cannabis drinks.
Well,
right. Infused cannabis drinks. If anybody's out there who doesn't know anything about the of products that you can get and why this is getting so great, we're not just talking about as far as companies getting traded. We're not talking about just somebody who's actually growing or a dispensary. We're talking about companies that make candy, companies that make
edibles,
all kinds of edibles.
Yeah.
Cut that up into all kinds of things. Gourmet edibles. I've seen people that make like gourmet anything, and it's all infused with different types of marijuana or cannabis. Everything, anything, everything.
Yeah.
Literally.
Well, there's different strategies.
Well, the
right?
downside of those
exactly.
Yeah, the downside of those is that it gets the anti-marijuana people to make accusations that it's a way of pushing marijuana on kids. Oh, they're putting them in candies now. That's because they want kids to have them.
You're right, but
people are using that as an excuse to push back.
Yeah, they still make wine coolers, right?
Yeah. And by the way, do you think is that child better off with 100 seizures a minute or whatever could happen to that child, or give that poor child something that makes that go away and she can have a normal life? So that's always like what I think in the back of my mind when I hear stuff like that. Like, I get it, but I don't get it. Like there's always going to be the pros and cons. Sure. We don't live in a perfect world, but the reality is there are people suffering, and people should not suffer when we have the ability to let them make that pain go away.
Right. I think the
reality is that the pros are so much greater than the cons.
Exactly.
It's just ridiculous.
Exactly.
And that story is just a really, really perfect example.
And there's a bunch of stories like that too.
It's not all
right.
Well, a lot of stories like that.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of stories like that, and that you contrast that with stories of the past. I know about a man who started who was having cancer treatments. He started smoking marijuana, and it helped tremendously to keep him from vomiting. But somebody found out he couldn't get the marijuana anymore, and he choked on his vomit and died.
Oh my God!
And,
awful,
horrible,
disgusting.
Yeah,
disgusting
it's horrible. It's horrible. It's horrible that the government is telling us what we can do, But we're now. I asked you this. I asked you this last week, and you had an optimistic reply. But I might as well ask it again, so viewers can hear. We're going in the right direction, correct? I mean, you don't have any fear that we're going to go in the other direction towards making it, criminalizing it again, and we're going in the right direction, right?
Well, I mean, if it was my opinion and I was in office right now, I would sign the bill that says you can never take it away ever again. But since I'm not, my humble opinion says I just don't know how it's possible, because we are still in a society where we the people have a say. And if we the people are saying we want this, then it is not for our elected officials to say, I'm sorry, the electoral, base, I'm not listening to you, even though they seem to do that quite a bit. I still believe in that philosophy.
Yeah, it really looks optimistic to me. I don't think there's any way they can hold it back now. I mean, it's just ridiculous on so many levels. And then another angle is that the crime involved in making any drugs illegal is not worth it. I mean, we found out what happened when we made alcohol illegal in the 1920s. We found out what happened with prohibition, and we don't need things like that. We don't need the government telling us what we can do with our bodies.
Yeah, I'm gonna interject. There was actually some really good stuff that came out of that. Where the movies, they came out with so many good movies about prohibition.
Oh yeah.
The one with Tom Hanks.
So it was all worth it. Worth all the bullets.
I'm being ridiculous, of course. It was getting all heavy, man. I had to break them not. I had to break up the heaviness.
Oh well, you know that I'm a cruel, hateful person. So and I love movies more than I love human life. So I'm really glad that we have
anybody who knows you, Steve.
Scarface.
That movie was crazy.
With, there you go. Was Scarface really about prohibition? Was that about cocaine trade from the 1980s?
That was the 80s, man. Wow.
The original Scarface from the 1930s.
Oh, it was definitely
prohibition. The Al Pacino one.
Right. Was a
with Paul Muni.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was a prohibition story, and they just updated it for the 1980s. So if it hadn't been for prohibition, we would have never gotten that remake with Al Pacino snorting cocaine and what's that line? They waving his gun and calling it his little friend.
Say hello to my little friend.
Never had that.
That's it. Never would have had that. No women, no kids. So we totally derailed with this whole conversation. Going back to your conversation, how long did it take you? You said it was only a matter of weeks that you got the bug, and that you really started deep diving. That's what I call when I do that. I deep dive.
Oh, I deep dived.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. So
how long was it into that until you wanted to share that? Till you realized that you had something that you needed to, I wanted to share my shiny penny. I got to show everybody. How long did that take?
Probably many weekends of having conversations with my girlfriend and being one-sided.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know what? I got to open this for him.
Everybody thought you were barking up the wrong tree, or?
No, I wouldn't say that. This is more of I just wanted to hear what other people thought.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And what was the feedback you were getting from other folks?
Well, I had my kickoff meeting last week, 2 weekends ago,
mm-hmm.
and it was pretty good.
Well, that was that. I'm talking about the people closest to you before you decided to do, and we'll get to the meeting that you're talking about.
Oh, you mean my friends?
Yeah. What kind of feedback were you getting from your friends about public trading? I mean, because it's a fairly controversial thing. I mean, we're talking about some people. You're either on board or you're not. I mean,
well,
like if you were to talk to my mom about trading marijuana, she would look at you like you're a demon.
Well, my mom said. The only thing she said is, do not have your entire portfolio in that sector. And I'm like, yes,
Diversify.
Mom. Exactly. I'm like, yes, Mom. That's a true story. And I still don't, Mom. But yeah, It was all about making sure you're not fully diversified.
Sure.
That you are, excuse me, that you
diversified.
are fully diversified. It's like the old adage, you don't have all your eggs in one basket.
Sure.
You know, but the way I looked at the sector is I went and said, okay, what are the ones that are the true cultivators? They day in, day out, they cultivate and they grow. And for me, that was really Village.
So the companies that are you just concentrating in a type of company, or are you concentrating in on just who's doing good? I mean, in the stock market.
Oh, no. I'm looking at companies that I feel there's growth potential.
Right.
I feel that they have a solid leadership base.
Okay.
They have a strong understanding of their management they're putting in place. They have a clear vision, and a lot of due diligence. I'm trying to, some of them is gut. Honestly, there's 3 companies I just did research. They're pennies, but my gut was just telling me they're gonna do. I think they've got something. And I've been lucky enough to be up on those, that they finally made some decent traction. So I think it's just kind of different strokes for different folks.
Sure.
But the reality is you have to do your due diligence. Like,
Right.
I literally listen to James West's show all the time.
Tell folks about, I mean, you've mentioned James West a few times. Go ahead and give him a little bit more background of who he is and what he does.
Oh, I don't know if I'm really well equipped to tell you about his bio. I think you should probably just look him up. It's the Midas Letter.
Okay.
That's his YouTube. He hosted James West, and his co-host is Ed Molesky. I love those guys. They're so great. And they they run their show every day from like 3 Eastern until 4:30, 4:20, 4:25, something like that, every day. And they
perfect.
How
they
apropos.
literally they
We're gonna talk to you till 4:19.
yeah,
we're gonna be busy.
4:25, like somewhere out there. I literally do my weekend workouts according to how long their video is. So I
Nice.
rollerblade for an hour and a half probably, or something like that, because that's how long their episodes run. So that's kind of how I gauge it. And they are just...
Yeah, you can do a deep dive into them, because they've got all their episodes up, and they've got about 170 right now. And I was trying to take a deep dive, but I'm so ignorant about the stock market that it didn't
Get lost.
doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Right.
I think Ed's an accountant.
I need someone to.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's cool.
My bad.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I think someone needs to explain the stock market to me like a 12-year-old child, but maybe I'll get a sense of it, because the guys are really entertaining, and I just liked watching it anyway. Even though I don't understand anything about the stock market.
Hopefully that's what people
cool,
feel about us. I have no idea what they're talking about, but they're entertaining enough that I want to watch.
Yeah.
Well, they're over my head sometimes too. Like, they have this guy Dimitri on. He's like brilliant. He's definitely a millennial. He's brilliant. He talks about puts and options and all this, and I listen to his, and I'm like, oh my God, like what? Like, no, but he is fantastic. Then they have like Dan the chart man, who's great. He does technical analysis.
We need a Dan the chart man.
I really like him. So he has certain people on that have a niche, right? And then I think Ed is like an accountant, or he's been trading in the market for like decades. James West, I think, must have been, but I don't know if I ever actually heard like his true like bio. All I know is that he's very knowledgeable. If you listen to him, sometimes it's just you listen to someone and you're like, he's either really a great bullshitter or he really knows what he's talking about. And I venture to think that he really knows what he's talking about.
So do they only talk about?
No.
They talk about stock. Period.
The cannabis space is one of them. They're also into the mining space, because I picked up a mining stock based on some research I did after hearing some of their information on a bunch of their episodes and some more research. But those are like the big ones, and then they talk about others. They're
That's okay.
It's not
we'll talk
coming to me
about
right now.
We'll talk about the cannabis stuff.
Sorry.
But yeah,
Go to the Midas letter. You'll love it.
Midas letter, and what was his name again?
James West.
James West. So that's cool. So they don't know you're referencing that. So you got so that helped. Having references helped, I'm sure, in the deep dive.
Oh yeah, but it's also now it's not just that, right?
Sure.
You're also talking. I got, let's see, a bunch of magazines that I saw were out, or my husband would grab me a magazine, whether it was Newsweek or a special edition of this about medical, anything that on that subject. Right. I have the app for the new Cannabis venture. That's Alan Brockstein, another really brilliant guy. Love all his articles. He has an app. Let's see. I think I get marijuana. I get emails from the marijuana MJ Biz. I think that's what it is. Guys, it's just like you got to do your research and see what's out there. It's unbelievable what's out there, and you find the ones that you think are the most reliable sources for you, and then you use that in the combination of your own research, and you find the ones that you think best suit you. And for me, like I said, some of it was just pure instinct. Like I heard Allison, I forget her last name, Allison someone, she's the CEO of 48 North. This is a women's driven wellness company. They grow organic cannabis. They got $3 million from I think Canopy, $7 million from other avenues recently. They're doing the massive outdoor grow, but it's all about wellness and their fundamentals, everything about them. My instinct was telling me, you know what, this is something I want to keep. So I look at the stocks from the long perspective. I don't day trade. I don't have time for that. I really don't, because I have a job. This is not my job. This is my hobby. So everything is long. Right, so I'm sitting here saying, okay, I buy and I look at the long-term aspect.
Right.
Okay, well, that's my shtick.
That's kind of the shtick for any, like, somebody who's really delving into the stock market. You need to find something that you dig, something that you can relate to. I think something that you feel confident in. I mean, who's going to invest in something that they think is a sham? Yeah, who'd invested me, Steve? So
I think.
I'd invest in you, Ken.
That was dripping with sarcasm, my friend. You'd buy all the stocks in Ken. Who'd buy stocks in Ken? Yeah, so that's crazy. And what's we tried to do. Obviously, we tried to do a little bit of homework. You coming in, because I don't know a whole lot about. I know a whole lot about it. I know a whole lot, or actually, what was somebody said? I know a little about everything. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I don't know a lot of nothing.
Jack of all trades, master of none. That's me. That's the one, right?
So yeah, I know. I love info. I love learning, and so you sit me down and give me a math problem, and try to teach me algebra, and I'm not your guy. But you try to teach me. Cryogenics or whatever, I want to hear about that.
That's the great segue to the fun facts. You wouldn't let me tell you about.
Oh no, this is she was so excited, Steve, before we went on, is that she was just going like she was over there. She was like, "Oh, I got a really fun fact. You want to hear about it?" I said, "Save it. I need to be surprised before you. I don't want to I want to be just as surprised when you tell me." And so what's so cute is she was over there going. Like she'd read, she would like, and I'd be pretending not to notice. I was over here doing my little cards.
He was.
I'm
like, please, can I tell you? And he's like, no.
I was like, no.
Like, darn.
So go ahead, your fun facts. Here we are, folks.
Yay.
And this segment is called Fun Facts.
Hope they're better than my autosexual story.
By the way, I knew that answer was self for the record, but I couldn't say anything.
I think this is the auto. That's the autosexual story, Steve. So just so you know, I actually have that already queued up for you.
That's awesome.
I deserve it.
So go ahead.
Okay. Fun facts, folks. Triple F. Fun fact, folks. Top 5 states 2018 cannabis jobs.
There you go. Cannabis jobs.
I thought this
Top.
was the best.
It's
Ready?
like a David Letterman piece. Go ahead.
Exactly.
Ooh, yay.
Steve, what do you think is the top state?
The tippy top state, Florida.
You're right.
Wow, really?
Yay!
Did not guess that.
You're
I would've-
right.
That's okay.
Now, if you tell me how many jobs were created in 2018, I'm falling off my chair right now.
I will not be able to guess that.
Is this
I
nationwide
couldn't
or
even- I
In
hope it's
Florida.
high.
in how many
I hope it's
jobs,
high.
folks? Go ahead and put down below real quick before we read them. How many jobs do you think were created in Florida from cannabis?
Come on, Steve.
Time's up. Go ahead, Steve.
A million.
Oh, stop.
You just gave up, didn't you?
It's like negative 30 unemployment.
Go ahead. How many jobs?
9,068.
Wow, 9,068 jobs were
goodness.
created through the cannabis industry in Florida.
Florida. Okay, Steve, ready? Let's see how good he is. Number 2. Who do you think?
Okay. Number 2.
Are these states?
Yeah.
California.
No.
Yeah.
Try
California?
again.
Oh, boo. Top. Maybe.
I'm going to say something crazy like
York.
Utah. Which I know Utah
Try
would-
again.
Wow.
Oh, Utah
Texas.
would not. No, it
Try again.
All right, we give up. Go ahead.
wouldn't be Texas.
Nevada.
Nevada.
7,573.
That's pretty crazy.
In the number 3 position,
Go ahead.
Washington State.
Washington State. With
7,035.
So they're pretty close to Nevada. So, wow, 7,000
In the number 4
jobs.
position,
Yeah?
Arizona.
Arizona.
5,120. And holding the number 5 position, what do you think?
Denver, Colorado.
Steve? Ooh, I hear one
I'll go
Colorado.
with Colorado too.
You guys are right.
Yeah.
Colorado, number 5.
They had to be in there somewhere.
4,595.
They had to be in there somewhere. And that's
Steve,
just-
impressive. 2 of 5.
And that's just growth from 2018?
That is
That's
jobs
great.
created, jobs from 2018.
Steve. 2 out of 10 ain't bad, Steve.
2 out of 5.
No, it's not.
Okay, can I tell you another fun fact?
Yes, another fun fact.
This is a really good one.
Yay!
So I just read.
Oh, I wish we had a fun facts theme song going.
Oh, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Fun Facts right here on the Best Damn Internet Radio Show. Or radio? Why do I keep saying radio show? We're not on the radio.
Really like that.
Best Damn Internet Show.
This is
Fun
great.
Facts.
Fun fact, too.
Mm-hmm.
The state of Hawaii, the Department of Health said that they will, if you're qualified and you're at a state patient and you have a card and you're registered, like you're a registered recipient of a card on their network, and you go to Hawaii and you're out of state and you want to go there and get like marijuana, if you register with them and you qualify, you can get it.
Like out of state or
Like
in
out
Hawaii?
of state.
So if you're in Hawaii.
No,
Right.
if you want to go to Hawaii.
Okay, so say you're in California and you are say you're in Florida and you have a medical marijuana card.
Right.
Basically what she's saying is you can go to, and you're visiting Hawaii, and while in Hawaii you need your medical marijuana, you can go to a place and they will honor your medical card. And
if
so
you're
can-
qualified.
If you qualify.
I thought that was very cool.
That's pretty crazy.
For
That is
medicinal
extremely cool.
only.
For medicinal only.
How cool is that?
It's a
Again, that's
start.
from New
It's a
Cannabis
start.
Venture.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
That's my other fun fact.
That's
It's a
a pretty
start.
cool fun fact.
Okay, wait, I'm looking to see if there's another one.
Any more fun facts? We'll have the other theme song. We can do one more.
Okay, I think we can do one more.
We're gonna do one more fun fact with with
One
Marian.
more fun fact.
All right, go for it.
Okay, so I read on Benzinga. This is like another cool app. So Benzinga. Now I'm just gonna give you a blurb from it.
Mhm.
You have to like really read the whole article. But the gist of it was CBD only beverages potentially by 2022, 260 million in sales.
Wow, just CBD only
Oh wow.
Potential.
potential. That is crazy.
That's my 3 fun facts.
I also had another
for the
fun
segment.
fact that I can't remember right now, but it was actually another fun fact that went along with that, and it was basically saying the cannabis industry by 2030, we're saying by 9. I'm gonna get the number wrong, so I'm gonna be quiet. But it's I want to say it was like a $9 billion industry, and they were talking about a couple of states by 2030 that it was. I mean, we're talking about it's a $100 million industry now in that state. So we're talking about $9 billion within the next 10 years.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
I'm not either, actually.
Not in the
I mean, if I don't have any of the number. This is where I came totally unprepared. But if you look at the number of revenue, the number of money, the number of money, how much money Denver made through taxes alone. Saving taxes alone through cannabis the first year it came, they legalized it, was absolutely an insane number. And I'm not going to try to quote any of that because I don't have any of that info. But you can look that up. It's actually insane.
I think the other fun fact I think you asked, I think is right.
Yeah, well, go ahead.
I think one of the questions was when did California go legal? I think it was 1996.
96 is when it went
I
legal.
think so. I think
Really?
I
Was it
remember
that
reading that.
We're gonna look that up.
And if I'm right,
Because
go
I can.
me for my memory.
If you're right, go you.
Go me. If
So
I'm wrong,
we're gonna look up.
who's surprised?
Steve, are you my fact checker?
Where's the producer?
Am I your fact checker?
Can you do your job, please? Go
we-
find.
I'll try. When did California make? Was that when they decriminalized it, or when they just made it legal? Because there's a distinction.
Ooh.
Okay.
How about let's hear both?
California make?
Then we'll know if 1996 is one of the
Yeah.
answers.
Yeah. Let's see if it's 1996. That's a long time ago.
Sure is.
God. When did here we go. When did California make marijuana legal? A whole article called that. Let's see. When did voters pass a bill? Guess what? In 1996.
Go me!
The first state in the nation to legalize medical marijuana. So.
Thank you.
Now, do you know how good California is now? I mean, they do recreational now, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's a big heck yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Not just
That's good. That's where I want.
I'm going to put another disclaimer out there. Not only am I I am neither condoning nor putting down the use of marijuana or cannabis. I do believe it does have benefits, but that's my personal belief. Legally, it is only legal to get it if you go to a doctor and you actually get a medical card, so you can be prescribed marijuana in the state of Florida. So I'm not telling anybody to go out and do anything. What we're talking about here today is the investment in the marijuana business and how it pertains to you here. So we're just to clear the air about any of that. I'm not trying. It's not necessarily a pro marijuana piece. This is a pro money piece about investing and trying to make some money and make some money in that industry, because it is a booming industry. One of the newest of the new thing out there that people are investing in, because it's blowing up every state when they go to make it legal, whether it be medicinal or recreational. There is money to be made, because there are just distribution to every aspect of that. Any business that anybody who's ever been in any kind of business knows all of the everything that goes into that, and since it's a brand new business, that's all new money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah. And I'd like to consider this a freedom. I'd like to consider this a freedom segment too.
You would, hippie. I'm kidding.
I'm all about the freedom. So that's why I'm excited. I don't smoke pot. I don't, and I'm not going to.
Well, maybe you should, Steve.
No, but that's really serious for people that are listening, and that's a great plug, Ken, because with the reason I created the Cannabis Investment Club was not to go somewhere and smoke grass and do this. It is because it's an emerging market. and this is all seriousness, this is an emerging market. This is expected to be immensely, exponentially bigger than the .com, the tech industry, what we saw. Right. There is a lot of money that can be made if you invest wisely. So with
she's
no, not a stockbroker, not a hedge fund manager, nothing of that. Just somebody who just after Tilray, a cannabis company, hit the U.S. markets, I said, what? And just did a lot of research and said, yeah, this is going to be the next push we're going to get for a sector that's going to just blow up big time. So why not enjoy the ride?
That's awesome.
Of making money legally.
What's that?
Yeah. It's just astonishing. The government finally gets out of the way, and look at all these jobs. Look at all these great products. Yeah. Look at all these medical benefits.
Well, again, I think
it's just wonderful.
I think we all know the bureaucracy and everything. You know what I mean? And this couldn't be more embroiled in that. And it's a very hot topic.
Bureaucratic screw up at the very beginning, and it was it was very annoying. And that's the kind of thing that happens when the government gets in the way. But they're getting out of the way, and
I think honestly, I think because of what we're talking about, the investment, the potential for money, because again, we're a capitalist country, and we got to find a way to make money.
Let's make money. I like money.
Mm-hmm. And I'm all for making money and benefiting with something that has a benefit to society as well. So I think it's a win.
Yeah.
Just think about it. There's no way, like, Jamie Dimon and all those guys, whoever's still whoever's still running the big banks, right? Mm-hmm. There's no way those guys are sitting there saying, no, we don't want a part of it.
Right.
There's no way.
Right.
No way. Yeah. And if they ever say it, you're all lying, which wouldn't be the first time. Really. But that's another story for another episode, and we can talk about the mortgage industry.
Well, I mean, when it comes to something like with cannabis, I think that they've been saying it's bad for so long that how do you just come out the next day and be like, look, I know it says the worst thing in the entire world, but maybe I was wrong.
It's called money, Ken.
That's what
that's what it's called.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it's when you get to, I know people want to make money, but when you start getting to the political thing to where everybody they have to have a stance, right? So if they're the people that they're running with, they're saying that, hey, it's bad. That's the stance we're taking. It's bad. So you have to go out and you have to preach. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad. There's no benefits. It's bad. It's addictive. It's a horrible thing. It's going to kill society. And then suddenly everybody starts making money at it, then everybody has to backtrack and everybody has to find a way to make it okay. That they're not wrong. They just, now things are different. And that's the funny thing that I find about politics, is that everybody's going to make money. They see how much money. You have to be an idiot to look out and see how that this is a booming, 700 times, trading 700 times faster than the article that I read, faster than other commodities are been trading. So you have to make it legal. But I'm interested to see the backtracking that's going to be done. See the backpedaling that people are going to take on their stances, because it's going to happen.
Well, think about it.
Or just stop talking about it, and the next day they just like it never happened.
Yeah, the lobbyists, the banks. Again, I'm going to keep saying the banks, because our banks are very powerful. Mm-hmm. We bailed them out, clearly. Mm-hmm. They have a say. No matter how bad they screwed up with their credit default swaps and their synthetics and all these other fun things that I would love to talk about another day. They're powerful. They sit there. They know it. They control everything. They control government. The banks do.
Money makes the world go round.
As soon as they have reached the point where they've come to the realization that enough is enough, it's going to go like that. Like a snap, folks. A snap. And we are going to watch it
like Thanos.
Change. The world, in fact, fun fact. Music, please. I'm not sure when, but it was recently. The World Health Organization decriminalized it. The World Health Organization.
The World Health Organization.
Yes.
Oh, good.
We just need that to happen in the United
That
States.
is a fun and
major fun fact.
and
Yeah,
enjoyable
major fun
fact.
fact.
Yeah, that's a major fun fact.
Very good. Very good job. So that's
just
Any
ripping these fun facts.
decriminalization is fun fact. Yeah. Criminalization, legalization, they're all it's fun. It's fun to be free.
Fun to be free.
It is fun to be free.
I like that. Fun to
I
be
like
free.
that.
Like it a lot. Okay, so are we still yapping?
Yeah, we're
You
still
tell me.
yapping. I just didn't know how long we had you. I know that you're
I have a 10 o'clock hard stop.
okay.
I must go to bed. I have a job in the morning.
That's fine. Actually, if you want to go ahead and cut it, we can wrap it up with you. You're very interesting.
Well, thank you.
And I'd like to check back in with you at another time to see how you're doing with all this.
Oh, I'd be delighted.
Now, just so to finish up, that you started up, where can people find you in this meetup app? Again, I'm not saying that she's not an investment broker or anything. She's a person who is very passionate about what she's doing. She's trying to, she's available if other folks are like-minded and are interested in making money in this like she is. So that's where she's at with it. And how can people find you?
Good one. So Meetup is an app. And if you download the app and you go and search for the Cannabis Investment Club, you'll find me.
So
I'm there.
Cannabis Investment Club.
Yep, I'm there.
Marian, DeBonis.
Yeah, I'm there. So also, there's, if you don't mind, a couple, this little plug for a couple things.
Go for it.
So there's also this lovely young lady called Jessica Lyon. She has this great cupcake company she's building. She actually has a line of wellness. I asked her to take some of my hemp seeds that I put in my yogurt, for the protein and the omega-3 and all those benefits. And
that you can get at any
my God, she has this,
place.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I buy a big bag at Costco. And she made these great wellness cupcakes. She's Jessica Lyon, and you can find her from the Crooked Hook. She is the Crooked Hook proprietor's daughter.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
Crooked Hook, where we happen to be.
Yes.
Where we happen to be broadcasting live from Crooked Hook here in Coral Springs, Florida, from Livestream Entertainment.
Yeah. HouseOfLionsCupcake.com. Oh, God, Jess, you're going to kill me. I think that's what it is. I don't have my info in front of me.
Oh, let's see if I can get it. House of Lions.
Oh, her website isn't up yet. She's in the process of getting up.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah. But,
Well, hopefully we'll be.
but you know what? Go to my meetup because you'll see it all in there. All
There
that
you
stuff.
go.
She's always she joins. She's like another one of our little sponsors.
That's cool. She can sponsor us, but send me some cupcakes.
And then
I'll eat 'em live on the air.
Oh, they're great. They're
I'll
so
mail one to you,
delish.
Steve. I'll eat yours for you and let you know how you feel about
Yeah.
it.
And then there's also one more, on a very serious note. There's actually this organization called Boca Can. Their website, I think it's bocacan.com. Their website. They're actually an organization. They're kind of grassroots. The city of Boca will not allow dispensaries, so they're actually, they're actually created. They have this organization. And they are striving to bring change to the city of Boca, to bring in a dispensary for its wellness attributes.
Well, I hope so, because right now they're just filled with autosexuals.
Yeah.
Just throw that back to you, Steve. They need some wellness.
We need some wellness around here. Yeah. I definitely need some wellness.
Yep. And then Ken, of course, if they have to find me, they can go to you.
They can always come here at Livestream Entertainment.
That's
and
right.
You'll see it on Best Damn Internet Show.
That's right. And then the producer, he knows how to find me.
Doug.
So just go to the producer.
There you go.
There's ways to find me.
No, you are number one.
Oh,
you are.
you're sweet.
You're literally you're not number one. You're number one. You're our first guest ever.
Go me.
Yes, number one.
Our first guest here for The best damn internet show. And
we'll
we're very,
see who
very
can
happy
beat
to have
me.
you.
We'll see who can beat me.
Yeah. Well, hey,
Tough.
look, that's it. That's it. Now you got big shoes to fill.
That's
big
right.
shoes to fill. You're very fun to talk to. A lot of cool information. I thank you very much for sitting here and letting Steve and I talk to you and pick your brain.
It was great. I had a blast. Hey, Steve. It was great.
Thank you. It was great. I really enjoyed talking to you again.
All right, folks, I'm signing off. Have a great rest of your night. Steve, catch you later. And Ken, catch you later.
Yeah, I'll see you around. Definitely. Bye, sweetheart. You're awesome. And there we go. So that was our first guest. And that was fun. I hope you had just as much fun at home talking to Marian. So yeah,
the whole subject makes me excited for the future.
It does, man. It's well, you know, we actually got to talk about something that's groundbreaking, pretty much. I mean, you know, this is the never in my, you know, I was talking to this about a friend of ours, and we were talking about years ago. We'd be hanging out and we were talking about, you know, anything and everything. And one of the subjects that I remember us talking pretty in depth about is, do you think they're ever going to legalize pot? And it was like, no, man, there's no way they're ever going to legalize marijuana. That's never ever going to happen. And then boom, in California, and then it starts happening, and then it like wildfire, man. It's absolutely crazy. Like I said the same thing about Florida. There's no way they're ever going to legalize it in Florida, and then here we are with medical. You can get your medical card and go to the doctor and get cannabis. It's crazy. I actually have a friend who suffers from anxiety, and she actually has a medical card, and she goes and gets it. And it was amazing how easy they made it for her. I mean, she legitimately has anxiety, and she legitimately needs it. And I think it's awesome that she can go and do that instead of going and getting some sort of pharmaceutical. I think that's absolutely. I'm not a big fan of the pharmacy companies and what they do for opioids and all that stuff.
Yeah, and who knows? I hope they're going to take advantage of the legalization, not try to. I don't know, not try to stop it anyway. I don't trust.
I don't know about stopping it, but I definitely
very much.
Anytime somebody gets their hand into anything, it always gets corrupt. You know that. But right now, I think is the golden years.
You know, there are so many stories of how marijuana became illegal in the first place. I mean, you and Marian told two, and then I found two more. There's a story that people wanted to use it to demonize Mexicans. They wanted to create hysteria around marijuana, even though they weren't familiar with the term marijuana, and they didn't realize that they already had marijuana in a lot of their remedies. I think a lot of their foods too, and but you know the bigots, I guess, got people riled up, and then there was a guy named Anslinger who was the head of the Bureau of Narcotics, and he really wanted that bureau to be useful and powerful, and so he created his own enemy by making marijuana seem demonic.
Right.
So it's funny how it's funny how you can just fool the public for so long.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Well, that happens a lot with a lot of things. Right.
Yeah.
It all depends on who tells the story.
You fool the public, and you can stand in their way of what they of the things they want, and it's just.
Well, yeah. It all depends on who has the reins and who's narrating the story, right? It depends on how the story goes.
Yeah. That's what's wonderful about the internet, is that it's harder and harder for the gatekeepers of information to keep information away from us, and and it finally became so ridiculous that the idea that marijuana is addictive or especially harmful.
Well, they actually, here's a bombshell. They came out the other day and said that marijuana actually is addictive. So you can get addicted to marijuana. But I do believe you can probably get addicted to just about anything, because I've known a couple people that were pretty much addicted to chocolate donuts. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm addicted to Diet Pepsi. So I guess it depends on. Yeah, I guess it depends on your definition of addiction.
Well, I think your intake, your personality, I think that has a lot to do with it too. I just know people who have an addictive personality to, period, whether it's, it could be anything, twirling their hair, who knows? But yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it too. But I mean, yeah, it is something you ingest into your body, and it is, I'm sure you can absolutely get addicted to it. Just the act of doing it, if not the substance itself.
I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know that that even the bad drugs should be illegal.
Oh, you're all for legalizing cocaine, huh?
Yeah, I'm in favor of at least decriminalizing it. I don't think that.
You ever done cocaine?
Decriminalizing these drugs does us any good. No,
yeah,
I never have.
It's pretty good where
have
it's
you?
at. I have no idea what you're talking about, Steve. I've never done anything in my entire life. I'm a good boy.
You never even heard of the word cocaine until I.
How do you pronounce that? What's that word again?
It's cocaine.
That's the shit that they put back in Coca-Cola back in the 20s, right?
Yeah, it is. Actually, that's not a joke. But
no, it's not a joke. That's for real, folks. There was pretty much cocaine in like everything in 1920. It's like, you need toothpaste? Oh, yeah, it's been cocaine in that. You're good. That's why everybody was smiling and doing housework. They were drinking like...
Yeah, everybody was so happy back then. So maybe cocaine's not as bad as we're told. But no, I don't...
Folks, we do not condone you going out and doing cocaine. This is is not...
No.
Do not listen to Steve.
I personally condone all sorts of awful behavior, but this show officially does not. This is Ken's show, and we officially, and Doug's show, and we officially do not condone bad behavior. I personally condone all bad behaviors, but that's just me.
But Steve's,
I don't represent.
But Steve's a recluse who lives in a barn in Indiana. You don't listen.
I live in a barn.
Yeah.
And
that's the new thing. I gotta find a picture of Steve before we go.
Smoke is hay.
You smoke hay. That's Steve.
Yeah, that's
hay smoker.
It's not really.
Well, Steve, I wanted to actually thank you very much for actually putting us on IMDb. I thought that was really, really cool, man. So.
Oh yes, be sure to if you're an IMDb user, that's the Internet Movie Database. Please go to the Best Damn Internet Show and rate us 10 stars out of 10. Be great if we had some love over on IMDb. I'm sort of addicted to adding information to that site anyway, so it was fun to add information about our show, about the pilot episode, which was last week, and I've already got this episode ready to go, so I can add. After the show, I'll be able to add pictures to it, and I'll be able to add information, memorable quotes. What do you think the memorable quote of the day is? I don't know if we had any memorable.
Probably
quotes
autosexual. That's probably the memorable quote.
Autosexual.
I'll never get that out of my head.
That.
I found a picture of Steve, by the way. If anybody can actually see the picture of Steve, this is today's picture of Steve.
Dear.
Can you see it, Steve?
Okay. No, I can't see it. I couldn't.
That's perfect.
Get the,
we'll go over here.
Get the video
can you see
to run.
Picture of Steve.
So I'm just going to assume that I'm not going to like it.
No, it's great. It's fantastic.
It's great. Okay. Well, we'll see, because I'll be watching this, so you better.
I better ship up. I got 10 minutes left. I better do well.
Yeah,
and next week we actually have we're actually going to start doing this show every week, folks. If you did not know, this is we're called the Best Damn Internet Show on Livestream Entertainment, and we are going to be doing a show every Tuesday at 8 o'clock, roughly 8 to 10. We're going to be coming to you live, either in Coral Springs or somewhere near Coral Springs or somewhere at least in South Florida until they kick us out of the state. Always, my host is going to be, or my co-host is going to be Steven Sperling. Next week, our guest is John Hollis from Rockers in Recovery. For those of you who are familiar with that, be happy John's going to be on. We're going to be talking about that. For those of you that don't know, here's your cue to go ahead and look it up real quick, and so you can get some info about what Mr. Hollis does. That will be happening on, that will be airing on Tuesday. Whether next week's show is going to be live is still up for debate right now. I think we're going to do, is that correct, Doug? Doug? We're going to be broadcasting live next week, or we're going to be... Next week we might have, next week we may do the, it may be recorded. Put it that way, because we have somebody who's going to be going out of town. So one way or the other, you are going to be getting a show on Tuesday at 8 o'clock. And we're going to be trying to coming to you every Tuesday, as live as we can be, every Tuesday here in Coral Springs.
Yeah, I'm fairly alive.
Fairly alive, mostly dead.
I'm fairly alive. I know I've got a lot of living tissue in me yet. I'm not quite a zombie, but
I'm worried about you, Steve. Just so you know. I don't know what exactly.
Are you worried about me?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what's going on with you, Steve. You're mostly alive, not quite a zombie. Like, is this how the zombie apocalypse starts?
Zombie.
Starts with a co-host of an internet show.
Yeah, too much. It's too much Diet Pepsi, I think. And,
anything else that we have? Okay, Diet Pepsi. Anything else that we have?
And too much.
Too much what?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Too much what, Steve?
Do I have to say now? Because I don't.
No. It's instant regret.
I'll say it anyway. Too much autosexual.
Too much autosexual
videos.
That's it. Self-love, Steve. Too much self-love. But hey, at least you love yourself. So, is there anything else we missed in the info for today, Steve, that we wanted to go over? Or info for the week? Any other stories that we didn't get to while we wrap this whole thing up?
Oh, nothing too exciting. Actually, something very exciting. The second person ever has been cured of AIDS. So
that's amazing. That's really cool.
Rolling right along. Yeah. So we're rolling right along with that, and like I said, we got the roundworm life expanded for twice as long, so that might be
so that's what you were talking about. So it's a roundworm, like a ringworm.
A roundworm. I don't know if that's the same as a ringworm.
Roundworm. So they have extended a roundworm's life. So it's living twice as long as it normally had. Is that what you're saying?
Twice as long as it normally had, and of course, they're not doing it for the roundworm's sake. They're doing it for our sake. So they're looking for a fountain of youth, and I hope they find it
through roundworms.
I think aging is a disease. What's that?
I was just commenting on that.
Through roundworms.
They're looking through.
You said what are roundworms?
No. So they're looking through the world of roundworms to try to find the fountain of youth. That's pretty okay. All right, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Whatever, man. As long as they get me before I'm still in my prime. Nah, who am I kidding, man? I've lost that a long time ago. So, but I'll take it. Though. I just don't want to, it's like there's a whole, like, for anybody who was into vampires, especially like when like Interview with the Vampire came out, there's a whole like time when you want to become a vampire because you're going to look that way for like the rest of your life. So if you're into vampires, it's like, you have to go out with your leather jacket on every day just in case you might be turned into a vampire, or you got to think about that every time you get a haircut, because that could be the haircut you could be stuck with for the rest of your life when you get turned into a vampire. You don't even think about that, do you? You could be at Walmart in sweats.
It's scary.
You know what I mean, with a bad haircut, and the next thing you know, boom, there you go.
Yeah. So we really need to look away from the supernatural. towards more scientific methods of extending our life, because vampirism is bad, and I can tell you from personal experience that zombism is bad. It's all bad.
Okay.
So let our top scientists cure aging, and maybe we'll be a lot happier. And let's keep legalizing the marijuana. Let's keep curing the AIDS. Let's keep autoing the sexuals, and all this great stuff. Let's hope that Captain Marvel turns out to be a good movie.
I'm banking on it.
So things are looking up. 86% of the critics like it. 86% of the critics give it a fresh tomato. So
a fresh tomato. You heard it here, folks. We're predicting good things for the show. And folks, on that note, Steve, I want to thank you very much for joining me today. You've been amazing. I appreciate that. All kinds of cool stuff that you've added, and will continue to add. Folks at home, thank you very much for tuning in. From me and Steven, here at the Crooked Hook Bar and Grill in Coral Springs, Florida, we want to wish you a fantastic evening and an even better week. And we hope to see you again next Tuesday at 8 p.m. for the Best Damn Internet Show. Once again, my name's Ken Hurley. Say something, Steve.
Yeah, I'm Steven Sperling.
And we wish you a fantastic day. From Livestream Entertainment, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a fantastic evening. Doug, take us home.